Hello and welcome back. This is The Lost Adventure, and today I'm actually going to go over a 5th edition adventure called Hunt for the Thessalhydra. This adventure was published in 2019 and was written by Stan Brown and Ben Petrosor. This is a very light adventure module designed for 5 level 3 players. The box includes sheets for a half-elf wizard, half-orc ranger, human paladin, wood elf cleric, and hill dwarf bard. Each one of these characters, however, do not have a name assigned to them. They're just like the stats and everything else on there. Now, if the box doesn't give it away, this is a Dungeons & Dragons and Stranger Things collaboration. And its fictional author is Mike Wheeler, also known as Will the Wise, who I would guess is supposed to be the half-elf wizard character. The premise of the adventure has the players being contacted by a mutual friend called Sir Tristan. Feel free to replace this with anyone from your setting, who summons them to deal with a fearsome 8-headed creature with a giant maw in the center that is currently harassing his realm. This is the Thessalhydra. After this has been told to the players are supposed to negotiate over how much they're supposed to be paid. Payment starts out at 100 gold pieces per player, but it's supposed to be adjusted at the DM's discretion. Should the players be generous due to their friendship or their honor, Tristan will give them extra items, which are 2 bags of holding, which is supposed to be used to hold the 8 heads of the Thessalhydra, a ring of protection and a healing potion for each player, and a wand of magic missile and a +1 magical greatsword. Now, this greatsword had some extra properties that makes it become +3 against the Thessalhydra and +4 when it's used in the Upside Down, which is going to be in play in this adventure. Once the players accept the quest, they're supposed to seek clues on the location of the lair of the Thessalhydra. Now, the book itself doesn't really give much direction in this. It includes a series of what a few NPCs will tell the players. I would suggest that Tristan sort of point them in the direction of where the Thessalhydra departed towards, which hopefully would include a road where they could run into all these NPCs that are supposed to have all this information. Anyways, regardless of what the PCs decide to do, they're supposed to find a place called the Troglodyte Caves. Now, this cave has 11 separate chambers and is populated by around 25 troglodytes and an owlbear. Should a player character decide to do an investigation check at the entrance, they will be told that they've found the tracks for approximately 25 troglodytes, an owlbear, and a Thessalhydra. Don't know how he knows what a Thessalhydra's tracks look like, but that's what the book says you're supposed to tell him. There are some role-playing opportunities here where the players can interact with the troglodyte leader, who's supposed to be the equivalent of Sir Tristan and being chivalrous and all that. At least for a troglodyte. Or they could just kill all of them. None of this really matters because this is just filler. The important part is what you will find in the top right corner of this map, which is called the Cursed Labyrinth. This is a maze, a constantly randomized maze that never ends. The book includes a chart that you're supposed to roll on to continue randomizing all the different tunnels your players will end up going into. And while they're doing this, they're supposed to eventually run into 6 random encounters. Now, only one of these encounters actually matters, and that one is called the Lost Knight. The rest of them are merely for entertainment purposes. Now, when they do finally encounter the Lost Knight, he'll be at the end of a long tunnel and will tell them he knows they're hunting a great monster and he'll help them if they can solve 2 riddles. The first riddle is to simply catch him. He'll then run around the corner and yell behind him, "At my heels you nip in this game we play, but cursed is the maze and lost am I. So who's chasing whom? Oh, who's to say? The front is the back, hello is goodbye." Now, the riddle is pretty simple, and all it requires is the players, instead of actually physically chasing him down towards the hallway they think he turns into, they just turn around. But if the players decide to chase him in the direction they thought he went, they will just continue to find him at the end of the next hallway, making the next turn, constantly and never-ending. Now, once the players turn around and go back the way they came, they'll instead find themselves in a room with a table, a door with 3 shelves above it, and the knight waiting for them. The knight congratulates them on figuring out the first riddle, and then gives them the second riddle. He says it's simply to find the missing piece to one of the figures on the shelves. After he says this, he then turns around, walks through the door that's under the shelves, which then magically locks behind him and cannot be lockpicked or opened in any way. Now, the 3 shelves that are above the door. Each shelf has a figurine on it. The first shelf has a man with a crown, and beside him is a bag of coins. The second shelf has a woman with a crown and a jar of honey, and the third shelf is a common woman in an apron and an empty space. Now, on the table are multiple small items that could be used beside the woman with the apron. Every single time the players choose the wrong item and put it beside the woman, they will be struck with lightning. Everybody in the room will be struck with lightning for 1d4 damage. The correct choice that doesn't get the players shocked is supposed to be the small basket of laundry. Now you may ask yourself, how in the heck are the players supposed to figure this out? It's supposedly a play on the nursery rhyme of Sing a Song of Sixpence. I'm going to go ahead and put that poem up on screen just for, our purposes. The book also gives 3 clues to give the players. I would suggest give the players 1 clue after every single time they're shocked. The first one is they're told by the knight on the other side of the door it's based on a nursery rhyme. The second one is there are 4 in 20 statues of blackbirds, which there is 24 small figurines of blackbirds that they can also find on the table. And the third one is telling them the name of the nursery rhyme and let them look up the words. Now, after they finally, get that part done and the door unlocks, I would actually suggest that you make it so the door opens up into a larger room which the knight is currently standing in. The book doesn't tell you anything about what happens after you finish it, other than the knight congratulates the players and tells them that the cursed labyrinth is not of this world, it's part of a demiplane. The Thessalhydra has found a way to push through the place called the Upside Down, and the Lost Knight shows the characters how that is done, but warns this is a one-way passage, they'll have to find a different way home. Like I said, just have the door open up into a larger room with a door also inside of it, where the knight then tells them all that, and then have him open up that door, which opens up into the demiplane of the Upside Down. And this is the part where the players get to have a little bit of, planar travel. It functions very similar to the Plane of Shadow, which, I don't know, you may want to have it run in the Plane of Shadows, but it's described as such. The Upside Down is kind of an alternate dimension, an echo of the material plane, and that means in some ways it's very similar to our world, but in others it's completely different. The Upside Down is a cold, dark place. It's always night there, and the air is always cold, like just before a snowstorm. You never feel warm in the Upside Down. Also, characters get no natural healing while in the Upside Down, no matter how long you rest. You don't regain any hit points, and you can't spend hit dice. Magical healing, however, still works. In places where the material realm and the Upside Down touch each other, the Upside Down looks like our world. The same buildings, trees, and other structures, but they're always broken and messed up. These are the places where you can cross between the planes, if you know how. In places where the worlds don't touch, the Upside Down looks like a haunted forest. Now, as the players wander around in the Upside Down, there's not really that many encounters. Nothing's really major supposed to happen here. They're supposed to wander around, find tracks of the Thessalhydra and other monsters. However, as they follow the tracks, they lead to almost nowhere or go in circles, confusing the players. You're supposed to describe how lonely, dark, and desolate it is with a cold wind blowing all the time. Now, like I said, they're not supposed to really run into anything. They're just supposed to find all these tracks until they run into the Proud Princess. Now, if anybody has watched Stranger Things, you will know who this is supposed to be. She will tell the players that she's on her own mission. However, she will help them. She will advise the players that the Thessalhydra does come here, but it merely uses the Upside Down as a way to travel between the place it currently raided and its actual lair, which is also in the material realm. She will tell them how to get back to the material realm requires the spilling of a monster's blood on top of a certain type of flower. She'll show you the flower and everything else. Since obviously none of the players are supposed to be a monstrosity, which is the blood required to be spilled on the flower to make it turn into a portal. The Proud Princess will tell the players that there are other creatures in the Upside Down whose blood could be used to activate the portal flowers. She also tells them that pretty much every creature in the Upside Down hunts by the scent of blood. Now, the players have access to no one else except for themselves, unless one of them has a pet, in which case you could make them kill the pet. They're supposed to cut themselves for 3 hit points worth of damage. And after they do that, the Demogorgon will arrive in 1d6 minutes from the darkness and attack the group. If the players don't want to spill their own blood, though, they can try and stalk a Demogorgon. However, this is going to be a pretty difficult survival check for the group. If they succeed in the survival check, they find the Demogorgon. If it fails, the group may try again, up to 3 separate times before they get surprised by the Demogorgon ambushing them. Now, the Demogorgon this book has is a CR4 creature that has 60 hit points, has an armor class of 15, has 3 attacks, has advantage on any melee attack rolls against any creature that doesn't have all of its hit points, and also regenerates 10 hit points at the beginning of every single turn, as long as it hasn't taken any acid or fire damage. Now, this is a pretty scary creature for some level 3 players. However, I don't really think it does the Demogorgon from the Stranger Things TV show justice, and in that regard, I actually use this template for the Demogorgon. Now, I would not suggest using that template against these players at level 3. Use the one in the book. But I think the one in the template is a more accurate representation of the creature. Now, the book does tell you that the players only need to get a few ounces of blood from the creature. They don't have to kill it. Maybe they can just, cause a really deep cut to the creature while it's standing above a flower, or they can take the blood off of a blade that's been used to cut the creature. But they need at least enough blood that would be able to fill an empty potion vial. Now, once they do this, either by A, killing the Demogorgon, or B, collecting enough blood, they'll pour it on top of the flower, which will then burst open violently, and anyone standing next to the flower must succeed on a DC 12 Dex check or be knocked prone, which will then create a cross-planar gate. After the players cross this gate, they'll begin going through the Thessalhydra's Layer. This layer has about 7 separate areas, and it's occupied by a couple giant spiders, 10 troglodytes that worship the Thessalhydra, and an ochre jelly. Now, Room 6, or Area 6, is actually the, Thessalhydra's treasure hoard, and inside of this treasure hoard they'll find coins, gems, and artwork worth 1,000 gold pieces, plus a magic item of your choice. Feel free to put in anything that you think your players may need if they've been really hurting lately. The Thessalhydra itself is actually a CR4 creature with an AC of 14 and 69 hit points. It's got a few condition immunities and only 1 damage immunity, which is acid. Pretty much any weapon the players bring to bear in this combat will be effective against the creature. The creature does do a decent amount of damage in its turn. It also has an acid glob attack, which is a 10-foot radius circle where creatures have to take a dexterity saving throw or they'll take 4d8 acid damage. Almost like a dragon's breath attack. It recharges on a 5 or a 6. And it also has legendary actions that happen at the end of another creature's turn. As long as the players are able to rush it quickly, they should be able to take the Thessalhydra pretty easily. However, if this becomes a long, drawn-out battle, the Thessalhydra will be able to tear them apart. After they defeat the Thessalhydra, they're supposed to cut off all of its heads and bring proof of its death back to Sir Tristan, who will then shower them with gifts and a boon of the DM's choice. And that's it. That's the entire adventure. It's easily a 1-day adventure. Nothing too simple. It'd be like a side trek. The box also comes with 2 Demogorgon miniatures, which I personally think are cool because I'm a big fan of the show, but to each their own. For rating this adventure, I will give it an adventure rating of about 3 out of 5. It's just a 1-day adventure. It's nothing too exciting. It's basic, but it does include a couple new creatures, and it does have some planar travel in it. So 3 out of 5 sounds about right to me. For value, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. If you're a fan of the Stranger Things series, it's nice to have the box set and the miniatures. If you're not a fan of Stranger Things, this is a 2 out of 5. It's a $20 box. It comes with 2 miniatures and pretty much a one-shot, 1-day adventure. The rule book that's included in the box doesn't really have any character creation rules. It's very similar to the rulebook that would have been found inside of the Lost Mines of Phandelver box set. For deadliness factor, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. If your players are smart and tactical, they'll be able to take on the creatures that are thrown at them in this game. If they're not, well, they'll die. Nothing's too dangerous in this adventure. Everything in this adventure can be either handled by thinking smart or by moving tactically. Overall, I'll give this a 3 out of 5. Well, thanks for watching, and I appreciate you staying to the end. I know this isn't what I usually cover, it being a 5th edition adventure, and what I usually cover are basic Beck-Me adventures. But I thought this one needed a little bit of attention since nobody else was really giving it any. And I am a fan of Stranger Things, so there is that. I hope this review helps somebody out there, and I'll see you